As I record this, Hawaii is battling Tropical Storm Lala. It strengthened into a Category 1 hurricane on Saturday, August 15th, brushed past the south side of the Big Island, and has been drenching the state with rain and wind ever since. Governor Josh Green says at least 100 homes on the southern Big Island were damaged or destroyed. Rescue crews pulled an elderly woman from a tree after floodwater swept her house away. 2 deaths are under investigation to determine whether they were connected to the storm. Power outages have hit more than 250,000 customers across the state. Parts of the Big Island took more than 28 inches of rain, and 32 inches fell at La Polla. It's an extremely difficult time for everyone affected, so I hope you'll say a prayer for the safety of everyone on the Big Island. Today's video looks at what happens when hurricanes collide with the most famous 7 miles of coastline on Earth, the North Shore of Oahu, and how Pipeline, its people, and its surf culture came back every single time. Lala is passing south of the islands, which means its biggest surf is slamming east-facing shores. The National Weather Service put a high surf warning of 10 to 15 feet on east-facing shores of Oahu, and south shores drew an 8 to 12-foot advisory. The North Shore, 1 to 3 feet, choppy, basically flat. Pipeline's legendary waves come from winter. Massive North Pacific low-pressure systems tied to the Aleutian Low send long-period northwest groundswells straight into that shallow, cavernous reef off Ahukai Beach Park, roughly November through February. Hurricanes near Hawaii usually approach from the south or southeast, pushing short-period storm surf at the wrong shores entirely. So when a hurricane comes for the North Shore, it brings no glory to Pipeline. It brings destruction, which brings us in 1982, Thanksgiving week, Hurricane Iwa. On November 23, 1982, Iwa slams into the islands as a Category 1, packing 90-mile-per-hour winds with gusts over 100, hammering Kauai and Oahu's Waianae coast with seas over 30 feet. It was the first hurricane to strike Hawaii since statehood in 1959. The damage: $312 million in 1982 money, roughly $1 billion in today's dollars. Over 2,300 buildings damaged or destroyed, including more than 1,900 houses. Around 500 people left homeless. 4 people died. President Reagan declared the islands disaster areas. Parts of Oahu, Kauai, and Niihau went without electricity for weeks. Some families cooked their Thanksgiving dinner outside in the dark, on grills, surrounded by the wreckage of a hurricane. And Iwa hit just as the World Pro Tour was arriving on the North Shore for the winter season. That same season, Ken Bradshaw won the Duke Kahanamoku Invitational at Sunset Beach. The community cleaned up, the lights came back on, and the North Shore winter waves rolled in like they always do. But Iwa was just the warning shot. 10 years later came the monster. September 11, 1992, Hurricane Iniki, Category 4, winds of 145 miles per hour, gusts to 175. It made landfall on Kauai as the strongest and most destructive hurricane in recorded Hawaii history. Around 1,500 homes destroyed, 5,000 more with major damage. Roughly 80% of Kauai lost power for up to 2 weeks. Total damage hit about $3.1 billion. Insured losses reached $1.6 billion. At the time, the 3rd largest single insurance loss on record. Oahu felt it too, with damage along the Waianae coast. Iniki broke more than buildings. It broke Hawaii's insurance market. Private insurers fled the state. State Farm hasn't written a new Hawaii policy since 1992. One storm, and a company still won't come back more than 3 decades later. So how do you recover from that? You build. Hawaii created the Hurricane Relief Fund, which by 1999 covered around 155,000 policyholders. Kauai's rebuild sparked a construction boom. Nearly 14,300 permits between late 1992 and mid-1995, plus roughly 565 new affordable homes over the following decade. And the hurricanes kept coming. Iselle in 2014, the strongest tropical cyclone ever to make landfall on the Big Island. Hurricane Lane in 2018, which dumped a record 52.02 inches of rain at Mountain View, the most from any tropical cyclone in Hawaii history. Hurricane Douglas in 2020, the closest passing Pacific hurricane to Oahu on record, sliding by just north of Kahuku, Hone in 2024, and now Lala. But the storms that actually built the North Shore's legend, they weren't hurricanes at all. December 1969, 3 North Pacific storms merged into one superstorm, and the swell of the century hit Hawaii with 30 to 50-foot waves. North Shore homes were washed off their foundations, clear across Kamehameha Highway. The coast was partially evacuated. Former world champion Fred Hemmings remembered it like this: "The North Shore was closed out. Everything was breaking out on the horizon. You couldn't even paddle out. It was so wild." Oceanographer Ricky Grigg estimated $1.5 million in damage, and on December 4th, Greg Knoll paddled out at Makaha and rode what was then called the biggest wave ever ridden, a title it held unofficially for about 20 years. Then, January 28, 1998, condition black, an El Nino winter swell so massive the Coast Guard closed all sea access. Every North Shore spot closed out. Even Waimea Bay, the one place built for waves that size, was too big to run the eddy, so Ken Bradshaw got towed into a wave at outside log cabins with a face estimated up to 85 feet, the largest wave ridden at the time. Eddie Aikau was the first lifeguard hired for Oahu's North Shore back in 1968, covering about 8 miles from Sunset to Halaiwa. Over 500 rescues, not one drowning on his watch. In 1978, the voyaging canoe Hokulea capsized in the Kauai Channel, and Eddie paddled his surfboard toward help. Everyone else survived. Eddie was never found. "Eddie would go" became the phrase, and the contest in his name only runs when Waimea holds 20-foot Hawaiian waves, which means faces around 40 feet. It has run only 11 times in 41 years, and in 2023, a working North Shore lifeguard named Luke Shepherdson won it. Eddie's legacy, alive in the water. But today, the North Shore faces a slower storm, one that never leaves: erosion. According to a 2022 report from the North Shore Coastal Resilience Working Group, 73% of North Shore beaches are undergoing chronic erosion, and a third of beachfront properties sit within 20 feet of the shoreline. In 2022, a home collapsed into the ocean at Rocky Point. In September 2024, another went down at Kamiland near Sunset Beach during the season's first big north swell. The same swells that make Pipeline famous are eating the coastline, and the community is wrestling with what to do. UH scientist Dr. Chip Fletcher says the only practical solution is for homeowners to exit the area equitably. Haleiwa resident John Quinlan fired back. "Some people say we are doing managed retreat. We're not. We're doing unmanaged retreat." A new state plan is due to the legislature in December 2026, and research from the University of Hawaii warns the hurricane risk itself could roughly double as protective trade winds weaken and oceans warm. As Lala moves away, remember the pattern. Iwa in 1982 rebuilt, Iniki in 1992 rebuilt, and it forced Hawaii to reinvent its entire insurance system. Strengthened again just last year with new laws that cut some condo hurricane premiums by 30 to 70%. The swell of 1969 and condition black in 1998 survived and turned into legend. The waves that destroy this coast and the waves that define it come from the same ocean. And every time that ocean has knocked the North Shore down, the people, like Eddie, have gone back in. Stay safe out there, Hawaii. Take care of each other through Lala.